Love it.
Welcome to our fifth episode of Diaries of a Data Scientist. As promised in our last one, we're going to talk about how to stay up to date with learning as a data scientist, which can be another full-time job next to your full-time job as a data scientist. And so you don't get too worried. Kate and me are sharing today our 5 best methods to our approach to learning and staying up to date. And then we're also going to give a bit more tips on how to stay motivated and disciplined next to this like learning sources. Let's get
Yeah.
started.
Yeah. Hi, guys. Uh, why we kind of decided to do this topic is because I think we all know, or our fellows data scientists, like fresh data scientists, they will kind of know it later, that even though that you have finished studying in the university, you got your degree, like you're working as a data scientist in the industry, it doesn't mean that you stop learning kind of ever. This is the backside maybe of the data science field. And this is sometime maybe like in the past was kind of my problem as well. When I got to know that I have to kind of be updated and stay updated all the time in order to be, like on the market, to actually go ahead and start learning. So I guess that is why I hope that we can help a lot of fresh data scientists or just like starters or experts with our methods and ideas. And maybe to start with the first one, I would always go for the importance of work with other data scientists in the team on the project. Because this is something that you can learn a lot from just integrating and communicating with other data scientists. And that is why I saw a lot of different, job posts and positions on the market where you're working just as one data scientist surrounded by business people. And this is something, I guess, as a first advice, at least from my side, and I guess from Yasmin, from your side as well, to go ahead and surround yourself by data scientists at the working place.
Yes, I could not agree more. You will see different setups in the organizations. Sometimes they are more like centralized that you work together as like a group of data scientists, versus
Mm-hmm.
as Kate just explained, being like the lone wolf among the business department. And in either
Mm-hmm.
way, what it's really, really important to have a data science community in this organization, especially if you're the lone wolf,
Mm-hmm.
to still be able to exchange with other data scientists and have this kind of peer-to-peer learning. And it's gonna be a little bit more informal from time to time, right? It's just having a conversation with someone, getting to know, I don't know, a new programming language that you could maybe test out for data science, like Julia or Rust. But it could also be a
Mm-hmm.
bit more formal when the communities are organizing a seminar
Mm-hmm.
series or like a hackathon, right? So these are a bit
Mm-hmm.
more formal, but it's really important to exchange with other data scientists in your company, because
Mm-hmm.
only they will know what are the organization specific challenges. This is not something that you can get from Stack Overflow or from LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
You have to talk about the other peers in your company about this.
Yeah. Specifically, I love, to work with the other data scientists that are from total different field of the data science industry. For example, we might have the same computer vision project, and we will be kind of gathered together as a team, as like of, I don't know, a statistician perhaps, and then a doctor in mathematics, and that a person in computer science. And this is something really amazing because you can get a lot just from interacting with the other people. And going to the communities, I think what you've just mentioned recently, this is also pretty interesting because being in the communities and get the information maybe from, I don't know, on LinkedIn or maybe in your company as well, it's also will be very beneficial for you in order to proceed with new learning. For example, Yasmin, you are in my community, sort of. And I got a lot actually from you in the computer science because I have never had a degree in the computer science. And I
Hmm.
can see your perspective at looking at different things. Although we are both data scientists working in the industry, but I still got a lot from your side. So, guys, being in the communities, yes, love you too. It's really, really important for you in order to be up to date.
Absolutely. On the other side, right, we're not saying only converse with people in your bubble, in your company, but
Mm-hmm.
that's actually leading us to the second piece of advice that we would like to give you. Do also turn to your outside network. So exchange with like-minded people, like on LinkedIn, for example. Join groups there. I personally also love to follow other data scientists on YouTube, even on Instagram, because then at least you do use the social media time a little bit more valuable than just scrolling around there. But if you follow some of the other like influencers there who are data
Mm-hmm.
scientists or also data engineers, you will pick up things from them. And I think that is really, really interesting. Again,
Mm-hmm.
it's a little bit more informal type of learning.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have heard about this saying or the
Mm-hmm.
structure that 70% of our learning is anyway informal. So
Mm-hmm.
it's only a smaller part that you do really when you are registering for a coaching or you're registering for a course. That is going to be a smaller part of your total time of learning. And you
Yeah.
are being surprised and amazed by how much you actually pick up on the site by just
Mm-hmm.
talking to different people. And exactly what you said, Kate, it's also important not just to connect with like minded people, but to hear other
Mm-hmm.
perspectives as well outside of your
Mm-hmm.
personal bubble.
Mm-hmm. And you have just mentioned a pretty interesting topic, which is informal learning.
Hmm.
And I think we can kind of talk about that forever, from which kind of informal learning you can get resources in order to upskill yourself. But let me name some of them, and that is maybe you can just add a couple of your things.
Yes.
I would say go ahead with the podcasts, for example, as one that you're listening right now. We are also personally listening different other like podcasts on Spotify and Apple in order to be up to date, in order to also have different opinions. And going back to the topic of the information asymmetry that we have just discussed in our previous fourth episode, which is also pretty interesting to understand this kind of bias information, that it can be newsletters, it can be as well articles. Do you have, Yasmin, something else to add to this point?
Yeah, so maybe I would differentiate a bit between articles and blog posts. I see them
Mm-hmm.
a bit differently. So for me, articles could also be really like articles on like newspapers, magazines, right? In Germany, Handelsblatt, for example, is quite big. They also do address a lot of AI topics in there. And blog posts for me are something a little bit more from individual contributors,
Mm-hmm.
which are maybe not organized in a big
Mm-hmm.
newspaper or magazine. For example, Medium. I love Medium. I don't know right now if I would call them blog posts, but basically any kind of contributions on Medium, I very much like.
Yes.
Otherwise, I also love message boards, like for
Mm-hmm.
example Reddit. Sometimes, I mean, you have to find the right kind of
Mm-hmm.
subreddits for you, but there are really interesting also conversation and discussions about techie things on there. Can you
Mm-hmm.
maybe name, Kate, what is one or two of your other podcasts next to ours that you love to listen to?
Honestly, it's a very bad question. You know why? Because I don't store this kind of information into my brains.
Ah,
It is so
you
bad.
have it on your
Okay,
iPhone.
I have it like somewhere in there. Yes, everything is somewhere outside in order to optimize my space. So I'm so
Yes.
sorry, Yasmin, but
No, that is okay. No, okay, then I will just name some from my side, which I love to hear.
mm-hmm,
There's me, myself, and AI. You find
mm-hmm,
them on the like the popular podcast offers like Spotify, Apple, and so on. It's really, really nice. I think it's also quite business friendly. So I also like to recommend it to some of my business colleagues if they want to get a bit more
mm-hmm,
exposed to this topic. Um, I also do like to listen a bit on the surrounding topics like how to found enterprises, startups. I'm quite fascinated by this also whole scene about how do you capture venture capital. For this, I can either recommend Digital Compact. It's in German language. And on the other
Mm-hmm.
side, if you are interested in this whole bootstrapping your own company, I love the podcast Minimal Empires, which is also
Mm-hmm.
really, really, really great. And
Mm-hmm.
nice podcast host who founded several businesses before.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, otherwise on the data science side, there's one from Daliana Lear, which I really, really like as well. And on YouTube, I love to follow Sundar Khalid from Google.
Mm-hmm. Maybe right now I can add one of them that I've just kind of recalled by listening to your list is the data scientist show is, I guess it
Ah,
is
it's from
like,
Daliana.
yeah,
Yes,
yes, yeah,
exactly.
you
That's
have
the
heard.
that's the one that I meant. Perfect.
Oh, okay. Maybe I just didn't got the name. Yep. So I will definitely recommend this because like she also has a lot of interesting videos on the YouTube. She
Yeah,
always has different guests from different fields, and it's pretty interesting just to go through this
absolutely.
episodes.
And we will put
Hmm.
all of the recommendations, of course, in the show notes again, that you can find them there. Great.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
yeah, for me, this is really important to also subscribe to some of these offers, like especially the podcast newsletters. Also, personal
Hmm.
recommendation. I love TLDR. Too long didn't read.
Yes. I love it
Love
as
this
well.
one. The one from the Deep Learning Academy, Andrew and G, I
Hmm.
also like a lot. I currently I don't have the name in my mind, but just look
Hmm.
for the Deep Learning Academy from Andrew and G and subscribe to their newsletter as well. And the really cool
Hmm.
thing about these kind of offers are you subscribe once and you either get like a daily or weekly update on things, and you never know what's in the package, right? You don't have any control about
Hmm.
what these
Hmm.
creators are posting about. And I
Yeah.
just like this a lot because this way you will pick up things outside of your usual territory, let me call it this way. And
Hmm.
this is like the best thing that can happen because you will make connections in your mind about different topics, really
Cool.
expand your horizon about this. And for me, that's the big advantage about this little bit more unstructured learning, which comes in
Hmm.
continuous smaller chunks and snippets. I love that.
Yeah, and I would put it to this that it's you guys became, I guess, less biased now by exploring different,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
podcasts, opinions, insights, ways of working, approaches. This is definitely you will become less biased in this kind of fields.
Yes. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel also this definitely helps to build a bit more empathy about different perspectives, especially if you feel that you have a very strong opinion about things. Sometimes it's a bit hard to, to think about how does another person see this topic, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
then you're surprised by how other people are reacting to things.
Mm-hmm.
Either they are on your team or from the business, right? And I really feel like listening to other people's opinion in a little bit more podcast environment personally has helped a lot about seeing things differently.
Mm-hmm. Yep. One of the different source what I can think about is honestly even like two sources. The first one is when you are working in the industry, you can actually go to your manager and ask him for, okay, can I please have a little bit of time spending every single maybe day on learning something? And I guess this has really helped a lot because I would say that I'm not sure how to phrase it, but let's put it like in almost every single company, definitely you will be having kind of courses or trainings, and
Yeah, training offers. Hmm.
instead of put it aside, um, like instead of kind of reducing your chilling time, you can also put it into your working schedule, which will be really beneficial, I would say, for the companies for the long run.
Absolutely. And I think this is something that you can't really say how much time you're allowed
Yeah.
to really learn using this kind of
Mm-hmm.
offers in general. This is
Mm-hmm.
something that you need to check with your individual organizations, but there's always some flexibility to extend this, right? When you show your
Mm-hmm.
manager what are the concrete
Mm-hmm.
learning goals that you would like to achieve. And for me,
Mm-hmm.
that is one of the very, very important tasks of a manager to help with the development of the talents in the team, right? And with the team
Yes.
members' developments. So
Yep,
of course they will
definitely.
be very much interested to also
Mm-hmm.
see that you're ambitious and that you want to learn and have this growth mindset. That's the two
Mm-hmm.
magic words: growth mindset, to have this as a data scientist. Because without it, you're gonna be
Yes.
pretty much, the skills are gonna be getting more and more deprecated over time, and we don't want this, of course.
Yep, definitely. And I honestly, I cannot agree more with that. Mm, this is pretty interesting how we got ourselves into this learning content because actually we are both who provide this learning content. And we are both who are upskilling by mentoring other people.
Yes. Can
And
you
this,
maybe explain a bit more to our audience what this
yeah,
means to you
definitely.
as a mentor?
Yes, definitely, for sure. So I love one of the phrases. I'm not sure if I can, kind of correctly put it into the words, but the sense of the phrase is that you can learn better by teaching other people. This is what I love. And I guess this is what I have been doing pretty much since I got 18, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was really important to understand the concepts, to be updated. And by teaching people that are a little,
Knowledge. Mm-hmm.
yeah, from that, definitely from this kind of like
Mm-hmm.
perspective, it's always really nice to have the mentoring sessions with them because those are the people that would ask you totally different questions, maybe questions from different, you know,
Angles.
industries,
Yeah.
angles, and this is
Mm-hmm.
exciting. Maybe you have never worked previously with, I don't know, deep learning, and out of sudden you got a mentee who is asking you about a deep learning, and you have with the like like really high responsibility in front of this person. You kind of have to force yourself to understand what the deep learning is. For
Yes,
you, is it the
absolutely.
same?
Yes, I think two perspectives, right? A, get
Mm-hmm.
yourself a mentor. This will help with your learning. For this, also your learning goals have to be clear. But I fully agree also with this perspective that providing mentoring sessions has helped me with my personal learning. Exactly how you say, to somewhat identify gaps. Maybe not
Mm-hmm.
gaps, but like other areas where I am not as knowledgeable as where I maybe would like to be, and then
Mm-hmm.
have the motivation and the drive to upskill myself in order to be able to convey this knowledge also to the mentee, to the person who wants to learn about this.
I'm just kind of right now having all of the pictures of my mentees that I've been trained so far. And with the high responsibility that you have in front of those mentees, you really can learn and upskill yourself in a lot of things. And I would say this is awesome. For me, I
Absolutely.
had the greatest learning out of this.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe to pick up on this learning goals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, this is really important for this more structured learning, to know what you
Yes.
actually want, right? With this unstructured learning, subscribe to newsletters, podcasts, getting new updates with every new episode being dropped. I mean, that is awesome. But
Mm-hmm.
you also will have to do some structured learning about the gaps that you've identified yourself through various sources. And then you can also plan your learning accordingly. For example, what I would also love to recommend, if you can, is to visit certain conferences that are relevant to your industry, to your tasks, either in person,
Mm-hmm.
which brings some additional like kind of networking opportunities, but also
Mm-hmm.
otherwise there are virtual conferences that you can more easily plan in your work and like private life. And on the other
Yes.
side, of course, massive open online courses like on Coursera, Udemy, LinkedIn Learning, Deep Learning Academy, Khan Academy, and what
Yes.
else is out there? There's a lot, and that is for me the more structured learning. And for this, you should know what do you want to learn. How
Mm-hmm.
much time do you have? Do you have? Do you need to visit a more intense online course?
Mm-hmm.
Is it enough to visit a conference to hear some other speakers talk about this? Do you need to, I don't know, learn a new programming language in order to do so? So this is really
Mm-hmm.
important to plan out. And then
Mm-hmm.
third point, making the time for it. Because as you said, Kate, right? It's not just that you have to sacrifice all of your leisure time for it, but partially learning is working time as well as a data scientist.
Yes, that is totally true. So, um, I guess I even found myself a little bit overwhelmed with a lot of opportunities out
Hmm.
there. We have a lot of courses, we have a lot of activities that, like I'm having this kind of endless to-do list in my kind of
Yeah, I
learning
know this.
list that I want to do this, and that. And then I just don't have time for that.
Yes.
Like,
Don't ever get me started on the list of books that I still plan to read. It's like,
yes.
I don't know, growing every day, and I don't make a lot of progress, honestly.
Yes. And that is why I guess, as you said, Yasmin, right now, that it's really important to have a frame and a discipline in order to stay motivated. So for me, the best motivation is definitely to set up a goal, because pretty much uh, having learning just for the sake of learning, maybe this is not really interesting. But if you can get something with that, it's a totally different perspective.
Exactly, and this could be a personal goal. Just you want to know about how computer vision
Mm-hmm.
works, but this could also be, I don't know, reaching the next step in your career as a data scientist, reaching like a salary increase next year. So whatever goal
Mm-hmm.
it is, be
In
motivating
there.
for you. Yes.
And maybe I will just like share how it is working for me all the times, pretty much. That I guess the same is working for you, just mean that you set up the goal, that you say, okay, that is my motivation, pretty much. Then you have to kind of frame and schedule your time. I don't know,
Hmm.
you just really actually have to block the schedules. This is for work. This is like this slot. I'm going for the
I
sport,
yes, I
gym.
plan it in on my calendar.
Me
Otherwise,
too.
like what's not in the
Yes.
calendar is not happening. But maybe this is my German
Not I do
approach to
have the same.
things. Perfect.
I do have the same. Yes, I even just like schedule conversations with my mom in order to be really as precise as possible. Can you get it?
I can imagine she's very happy about this. That you're then very reliable with keeping those conversations.
Yes, definitely. And pretty much going to the from the time that for me the all the time the best way to go with the upskilling myself is to understand the point B, and then to understand the people that are already having what I want to obtain.
Hmm.
And for example, it just happened to me recently. I have my kind of goals on LinkedIn account, and that I have reached out to one person who has, I guess, over 100,000 of followers, and he's a data scientist. And I really
Hmm.
want to talk to him. I really want to understand how is that working for him, what he's doing, and that is why we kind of decided to set up a meeting in the, I guess, in the beginning of December. And
Awesome.
by surrounding yourself with this kind of people that are already in there, you got even more motivation, and that they can tell you structurally how they reach this point B.
Awesome. Yes. I think that has kind of two effects, right? As you
Mm-hmm.
said, you have these role models. But
Mm-hmm.
I think, I mean, we can get really spiritual on this, but there's this whole idea of manifesting your
Yes.
goals, right? I don't want to get too deep into this. There's also different
Mm-hmm.
perspectives about this, but I think it's definitely nice thing to have this very visible in front of you, right? To have this role
Mm-hmm.
model very visible,
Mm-hmm.
and I think this would bring a lot of motivation to your
Mm-hmm.
activities. And I what
Mm-hmm.
I can personally also really recommend is setting up routines that work for you. I think there's nothing
Yes.
better than finding a good routine for your learning. Let this be daily, but also it doesn't need to be daily, right? It could also be that every Saturday or every Sunday, if you can, you take out 2 hours in the morning that work for you, where you just set this aside for coding practice, for data
Mm-hmm.
analysis practice, whatever you have on your like learning schedule, and
Mm-hmm.
really just repeat and do this over and over. And there are great books out there which also talk about
Mm-hmm.
the importance of routines, but also like smaller habits. Many people
Yeah.
will know this book from Atomic Habits called. We also
Mm-hmm.
put this again in the show notes. This
Yes.
really helps a lot for building up valuable routines.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. So I guess it's about a data science, right? But sometimes it's not only about a data science, but it's also about like really personal things and your
Applicable
personal
to other
life.
areas.
Yeah, so we're talking about a data science, but sometimes data science really got touched with the other uh, angles and areas of our lives. So I guess, Yasmin, for today, we have covered everything what we thought about the courses, and let's have a little bit of this sum up kind of. So we have talked about why is that important to upskill yourself, and we're talking about different courses, LinkedIn, podcasts, conferences, how you can do this at the working time. And that we kind of gradually got to the discipline motivation slash metrics, why it is
Hmm.
important, why you have to do this, why you have to need this kind of routine in order to feel yourself, full of energy to start every single day and not be depressed with these things. And and yeah, so I'm really like enjoying this conversation, and I think I can talk forever about the learning processes, I guess, Yasmin, as well as you. But yeah, thank you for today, really a lot, and see you guys in the next episode.
Thank you.
Bye bye.